Welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. We're moving quick, not quick enough. As you can see, I got my little YouTube award already, thanks to you. So do me a favor, hit subscribe, watch, comment. I want comments and share with friends because again, and I'm going to say it again and again and again, the craziness, the chaos, it's not stopping, including yesterday. Good old RFK Jr. was sworn in as Secretary of Health and Human Services. Yes, despite all of the Democrats' attempts, despite everybody's knowledge that he is unqualified for the position, he was sworn in as Secretary of HHS. And as per usual, he was saying some pretty sort of wackadoodle type of things. And I first want to show you some clips of the swearing in ceremony where RFK Jr. actually says, actually says that God sent him Trump. Play that clip.
For 20 years, I've gotten up every morning on my knees and prayed that God would put me in a position where I can end the childhood chronic disease epidemic in this country. On August 23rd of last year, God sent me President Trump. And he gave me he's now given me, he's kept every promise that he's made to me. He's kept his word in every account and gone way beyond it. I'm so grateful to you, Mr. President. A lot of people told me that I couldn't trust President Trump, that I better get it in writing. And we did a handshake, and everything that he told me he was going to do, he has done. And I'm so grateful to him, and I've told you before, I genuinely believe that you are a pivotal historical figure, that you are going to transform this country.
Oh, he is going to transform this country. There's no doubt about that. The question is it for the benefit of the few, or is it benefit of the all? RFK Jr. then says that America needs someone to come in on a white horse. No, seriously. Now we're going to start parading white horses through the White House. Play the clip.
And we need a man on a white horse now. We need somebody who is willing to come in and has the spine and the guts and the strength to challenge orthodoxies, to stand in the way of vested interests, and to break institutions that have turned against our democracy. President Trump has shown again and again that he is that hero.
Yes. By the way, let me be clear about something too. Knowing Trump at least 20 times longer than RFK Jr. does, maybe 100 times, Trump does have the strength to break things down. There's no doubt about that. He's got the spine to take on the institution. He's demonstrated that between the indictments, between the impeachments, between the civil matters. He most certainly does. We just want him to do it on behalf of all Americans. And if hypothetically, I don't believe it, but if hypothetically scientists will determine that there is a vaccination like the polio vaccine that is dangerous, despite after 50 plus years now of the eradication of it, by all means, I'm for that. That's what we want. We want our Health and Human Services Secretary to be on all of our side. Don't put us in jeopardy. Provide us with safety. Now, RFK was then asked about his stance on vaccines. Play the clip.
Mr. Secretary, may I ask, how do you address concerns that some Americans may have about your stance on vaccines?
When people actually hear what I think about vaccines, which is common sense, which is vaccines should be tested, they should be safe, everybody should have informed consent, people are reacting because they hear things about me that aren't true. They hear characterizations of things that I've said that are simply not true. When they hear what I have to say actually about vaccines, everybody supports it.
All right.
If you want to hear what he actually thinks about vaccines, go to my Mea Culpa podcast. That's the one with the blue background icon, where I did an hour-long conversation with RFK Jr. before he was even nominated for HHS. And you would be shocked and you would be confused because he does not believe in these vaccines. He thinks that these vaccines are responsible, for example, for autism. With no medical background, with no legitimate research, he believes what he believes. And that's fine. That's fine for you, even though he and his children are all vaccinated. He's telling you and yours it may not be safe. I don't know, 50 years plus worth of births and life where you don't have certain situations like measles, mumps, rubella, polio, typhoid. Sounds like maybe the vaccinations work. And later, RFK then goes on to the Laura Ingraham show, of course, where they spoke about abortion drugs. Play the clip.
Anti-abortion or pro-life people and pro-abortion people are debating about what y'all are going to do with the abortifacient drugs that some would say haven't been studied enough, especially among young people. They're over the counter. Biden loosened the restrictions on them. What will you do on that issue?
President Trump hasn't made a decision about that issue yet.
Study it more?
What he's asked me to do is study the safety and study the safety signals. And I think that that's worth doing. During the Biden administration, the NIH did something that was inexcusable, which is to tell doctors and patients not to report injuries, and that's not a good that's not a good policy.
Mr.
Yeah, let me be very clear about something. Mifepristone, some of the other drugs have been around for a long time. For a long time. Let's start asking the legitimate questions, which is, other than the fact that you don't like the outcome of the drug, the termination of the birth, what is it that you have empirical data on that shows it's not safe? And the answer is, you don't. RFK also then starts speaking about SNAPs and food stamps. Play that clip.
And so we want to do a number of things, but not take away choice from people. The one place that I would say that we need to really change policies is in the SNAP program and food stamps and in school lunches, because there the federal government in many cases is paying for it. And we shouldn't be subsidizing people to eat poison.
Will you do that in conjunction with the Department of Agriculture? Brooke Rollins was also confirmed. So you'll be working in tandem.
Yeah, and Brooke and I work very well together, and we're aligned on those issues.
Mr. Secretary.
Let me be very clear about something else here. So in other words, if unfortunately you're not able to sustain what you need in the United States of America, and you are on a SNAPS program or you receive food stamps, they should actually be able to tell you what you can and that you can't eat. I'm not really sure that we call that a democratic republic. And I get what he's trying to say. See, I'm not opposed to everything that RFK says. For example, I believe our processed foods are terrible in this country. You go off to Europe and you can eat a lot and you don't feel bloated and sick. I also don't like with the cereals, with the food dyes and so on. I get it. But imagine telling somebody what they can and they can't eat simply because they're poor and can't afford the food themselves. It's taking a little bit too far. Now, as Trump and his team continue to basically gut the government, Laura Ingraham asks RFK if he had a list of people who also need to go. Play the clip.
You have a list of people that you already know need to be removed and quickly?
I have a list in my head, and you know, we have a generic list of the kind of people that, you know, if you've been involved in good science, you got nothing to worry about. If you care about public health, you got nothing to worry about. If you're in there working for the pharmaceutical industry, then I'd say you should move out and work for the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh, why not? Just make it official. Today, Senator.
Right, but ask the follow-up question. When you say good science, is it science that doesn't agree with the proposition that you're trying to promote? And just because somebody's science is not in agreement with you or what you stand for, what you believe as somebody who has no medical background, who's not an epidemiologist, doesn't mean that they're working for the pharmaceutical companies. And to make a statement that these people, what do they have? 2 jobs? From 9 to 5, they're working over at HHS. And then from 6 to midnight, they're working at one of the big pharmas. It's ridiculous. Now, finally, I want to show you a clip from CNN of them reacting to a clip of RFK Jr. saying that we don't have good studies on most vaccines. And we're talking about the vaccines that every kid gets when they're born or within several weeks of their birth. Play the clip.
To what RFK Jr., I want to hear your thoughts about it. Listen to what RFK Jr. said today after he was sworn in inside the Oval Office. That's why this question was brought up. And here's what the new health secretary had to say.
I'm not going to take away anybody's vaccine. If people are happy with their vaccines, they ought to be able to get them. What we're going to do is give people good science. We don't have good safety studies on almost any of the vaccines.
We don't have good safety studies on almost any of the vaccines, I think.
And again, that is a ludicrous statement. It is not true.
Yeah, it's just not true. It's not true. You have actually, in some cases, more than 50 years of data. Some of them going back as 90 years, 100 years. You have the data that shows that it is safe and that it has done the job that it's intended to do. Look, my friends, the important thing, community. We need to stay vigilant. We need to stay informed, and we need to stay together, because if this stuff continues, our voices need to be heard for 2026 midterm elections. And as always, thanks for listening.
Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.